My name is Hessie Jones, and welcome to the Gen X Think Tank for Tuesday, January the 13th. Tonight our topic is social media and its impact on relationships. I want you to also welcome my co-moderator, Jason Konopinski. Say hi, Jason.
Hello, hello.
And so I'm gonna start it off with some information that I found on the web to kind of frame the discussion. We're actually the first generation that lived before the pervasiveness of technology, and so Generation X continues to actually rival millennials in terms of adoption, and that includes social media. Our generation is very active online. We have an active lifestyle online and offline, but our usage for technology is mainly around the connection to our social groups. But unfortunately, there is a dichotomy within our generation, and that not all of Gen Xers have actually jumped on the bandwagon. So today we have a mixed panel of people who are either active or inactive in social media. Most are in committed relationships. So we're going to be tackling social media, its impact on communication as it relates to relationships and even dating. Just a few things from Pew Research that I found. So internet, cell phone, social media have become pretty much key actors in the lives of American couples. And in the U.S., this represents almost 66% of U.S. adults either in partner or married relationships. For the most part, this is an interesting stat I found, that 72% of married or committed online adults said the internet had absolutely no impact on their relationships, which I really found odd. And only 10% of internet users who are married or partner say that it did have a major impact. So the discussion that we're going to have is going to talk about tech and internet as a source of either support and communication, but also potentially as a source of tension. Okay, so I'm going to let Jason start us off with the panel introduction and the first round of questions. Okay.
Excellent. So as we kind of go through this, I think it's been useful for us so far to identify where you are kind of in the Gen X spectrum. So I'll start with you, Brian. All I need is a first name, where you fall on the spectrum, and then two follow-up questions. One, are you in a committed relationship? And kind of your activity level on social, and we're defining that as being active 4 hours per day.
Okay. Brian, 41 years old, so I'm in the middle. And what were the other two questions?
Are you in a committed relationship? Well, number one.
Yes, I've been married for 12 years.
Okay, so that we can check that one off the list, and then active on social. So.
Yep.
Approximately 4 hours a day.
Well, I mean, a lot more than that, probably, yeah.
Okay, so you're considered active. So we'll say 4 hours is like a proxy, because I think anything less than that we'll say is inactive. Okay. All right. So who's next? How about Charlene?
Hi, I am Charlene. I am 46. I am single, so I'm the lone single participant in this thing, and I would say I am active on social media.
Okay. And who's next?
Moving
Doug?
our way down to Doug.
Hi, I'm Doug. I'm 38, and I'm married, 12 years, and I'm not active in social media.
Okay, you're not. So if you're not active, what does that mean? Like, how many hours a day do you spend?
Oh, maybe 30 minutes just on one network, LinkedIn.
Okay.
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 Cassie, you're gonna do the quick rundown for yourself here?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just seeing everybody. How about Yuri? Why don't you go?
Why me?
Because you're next. Because you're special.
Well, I'm Yuri. I'm 28.
Big liar.
Go ahead. You already lied about your age. Okay, so
I told you I'm polygamist. I have you as a wife, Karima as a wife. So I have multiple wives.
Okay, so let's just say you're not in a committed relationship.
I am. No, let's.
Okay.
Not with the truth.
And activity on social media?
More than 4 hours a day.
More than 4 hours a day. Okay. Okay. So Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa. I am married for 11 years now, and I'm 36, Jason's wife, so forgive me. And
You're forgiven.
I am less than 4 hours a day and probably inactive by most standards.
All right. Okay. Okay, Jason, why don't you hit the next question, because I think that now that we kind of have a lay of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we can, I think that of course, we want this to be as conversation as possible. So feel free to, we can pick a place to start, and then we'll let the conversation evolve. So compared to, how much time are you really spending on social for those who are active, or even those who are relatively inactive by the benchmark that we've set? Is there a percentage where you connect with friends versus a significant other, as a ratio, and how does that break out?
You mean online or offline?
Online.
Really, we're really talking online here.
Yeah, I don't interact with my wife at all online, really. I mean, she's like downstairs from me. So
Okay, but when she's outside, when she's out and about, do you use like any form of social media to connect with her?
No, we use text messages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good place to tease this out a little bit, because I don't know if we can really draw a line between the social network, your Facebook or your Twitter, or whatever online digital network, and this, because the texting for me becomes a social network in and of itself, and I know it doesn't really necessarily fit the standard, but I think that's an important communications tool.
Right. So can we expand on that? So Brian, with your friends online, or with, let's say, maybe even people that you work with potentially, do you use social as a form of communication?
Yeah, and what I found is I kind of have to use whatever anybody else's favorite form of communication is. So sometimes it's email, sometimes it's social, sometimes it's public social, but there are some people who they have to talk to me through Facebook messages. They will not email me, basically. And I just have to. I've tried to move that person to email, and no, they won't do it. And then it's the same way with the phone. There are some super duper extroverted people who only want to talk to me on the phone, and they don't ever want to schedule it. So those people, yeah, there are only one or two of those people in my life, because they're the people I absolutely need to have, because otherwise, no way I would do that. I'm like totally scheduled, very boundaries, because otherwise I can't. Like, there's all this stuff is going on constantly. I'm trying to get work done and get clients and client communicate and create stuff for clients. So it's like I got to protect some of my time, which means I cannot be available on the phone whenever you want.
Right. But social media is always on, right?
Yeah, unless I turn it off. Or, well, my problem is since I do a lot of work on Facebook, I go on there to do some work, and then before, like 15 minutes later, I'm like, why did I come on this thing? Because I got distracted by BuzzFeed or something. So, I have to. Yeah, rabbit hole. So then I close Facebook, and then I realize I went on Facebook to do work, so I have to go back to Facebook again.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that's going to be, I think, a symptom of the people that actually have digital jobs, because they're always on the social channels, not only for work, but it's like what you said, it becomes a distraction when you're even just trying to do work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Charlene.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so what was the question, Jason? Oh, it was about the percentage of time
compared
that you spend
communicating
online
on social with friends versus a significant other.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a job similar to Brian in that I'm on a computer like all day long for work or whatever, and yeah, I was going to say I'm not in a relationship right now, but I was sort of, excuse me, getting to know somebody long distance, and he would like only communicate over Facebook messaging. So it's like that was on all the time too, and so we were talking that way. And I found that two friends, a lot of friends are just completely Facebook Messenger now. Like they don't even text me. So I end up talking with a lot of friends. And also, it's weird. I end up having whole conversations that used to happen on the phone, then it used to happen on text, and then it used to happen on Facebook Messenger, and now we just have entire conversations just on a feed or on a post. Do you know what I mean? Like I was talking to somebody and I posted something and they're like, oh, do you want to get together and bake? Okay, when do you want to do it? Blah, blah, blah. And then we ended up having this entire conversation just on Facebook on a post. And I'm sure everyone else is like, shut off notifications and whatever. But that happens to everybody I've seen. And it's like you get a peek in everybody's lives that way too. And like you can see people scheduling. And then we can talk about the fear of being left out too, or what is it, fear of missing out? I just
FOMO.
Just found out about that
FOMO,
acronym. FOMO, yeah. I just found out about that. So
and that's going to be like a big topic. I think later on we'll have to dive into that because that could feed into a lot of other issues that may impact relationships themselves because of the fear of missing out and the notifications and all that stuff. I want to talk to Lisa about this because you're in a different spot. You spend how much time a day on social?
Maybe an hour to 2, but it's all in the evening. My job does not allow me. It's actually blocked at my work, so I can't get on any social media sites. So I, maybe check at lunch my phone, but I don't have access. And as you probably know, my husband posts everything that he does, and people will say, oh, I saw your husband was here, I always know where you are because where he is and things like that. So that's an interesting dynamic to get used to.
So because of that, and it's better for me to ask the question, Jason, because you're too close to this.
That's okay.
So how much of your time do you communicate with Jason through social versus other channels?
It's very rare. I personally, and I am not on Twitter, so that would be another reason I'm not much of a user. But as far as Facebook, for me, it's reserved mostly for friends and acquaintances, and even my family that's close by, I don't really communicate with them on Facebook either. So they get text messages and phone calls, and I guess friends and more distant family gets Facebook and social media.
Okay. So has the dynamic changed between you and Jason with the fact that there is I guess a disparate type of behavior between the two of you where he's more active and you're not? Like, do you have the same friends on Facebook? And so the communication between, let's say that Jason talks to some of your friends on Facebook or you're like friends, but then because you're not as active, is there a different dynamic or no? You don't think that, has it impacted anything?
Between us?
Yeah.
No, he has a lot more friends on social media.
Okay.
Sorry, did I just go away?
No, you're still there. Okay.
Sorry, you went away from me. But as far as our relationship is still between us, I suppose. And so that social media aspect, it allows us to have different circles and different friends and different acquaintances, but as far as our relationship, we're still fine and the same, I guess.
Okay, that's good. We wouldn't want you to break up over on this. Okay, let me see. Yuri?
Yes. What was the question? Sorry.
Yuri, pay attention here. So the question here was comparatively as a ratio, the amount of time that you are communicating with a significant other versus friends, acquaintances on social channels, or even if you are in fact communicating with a significant other on social channels at all.
No, I don't. No, honestly, I don't.
You don't what?
I use phone. I use text messaging. Well, okay, text, it's social. But I talk to other people on social a lot. Me and Karim are driving whole business through Facebook Messenger. Physically. Because she wakes up at 7:15 and starts bugging me on Facebook. No, but you know, the reality is that I see Facebook as Gmail was 10 years ago. Like, you're using now Facebook more to talk to others, almost like an email server to me. You can see immediately what people are doing and where they are and so on and so on. So yes, with others I use a lot of social. With significant other, no, not at all.
So what do you use with your significant others? With
Phone.
phone.
Phone or text messaging.
So, but your significant others are also on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, but so even when you're not together, you're using phone and text. Are
Yeah.
you finding? Okay. And why is that? Why do you think that is? Why is that different than let's say you and I talking? Is it through chat? Because it's still a discrete channel, right?
Well, you know, it's not so discreet. Let's be honest. I mean, there is always an issue with the privacy on.
Oh, okay.
Let's not go there because we covered privacy, right?
Yes, we did.
There are certain things, you know what I mean, that I just don't want to talk over the channels, over the chat things.
Yes. Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
Facebook doesn't need to know everything about everybody.
No.
No, I mean, we all know Facebook saves everything that you say.
Okay.
They even know when you change your underwear.
That's true. That's true. Okay. So I guess Doug, you haven't answered this question yet, right?
No.
So well, we know you use it you use about half an hour a day, but so considering your wife is very active on social, how much? So what channels do you use to communicate with her? Do you use social? Or do you use other?
No, I never use social. Actually, I don't have a Facebook account, for example. I used to have a Twitter account, thanks to Karima, and but I just stopped tweeting just because 140 characters was just not enough for me. And I just didn't like that way of communicating.
Okay.
So when I wanted to talk to Karima, it's just phone or text, and that's about it. I have a couple of friends offline. They have accounts online, and usually Karima interacts with them online. So
Okay.
that's interesting.
Okay. So none of your friends use social media, or even if they do, the way you communicate with them is mainly through.
Email.
Is it?
Email or phone, or sometimes LinkedIn for work.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's get into the next one because I think this is where the dynamic starts coming in. So when and Jason, I'll put that other question that we thought about. We'll put it near the end. But why are you using social media? And this is where I want you guys to kind of open up and talk about the context of where friendships are starting to go online and where it becomes meaningful to you. So it's outside of necessarily your work stuff, but think about it as your social channel. So what is your main motivation for going online, and just talk about that. Who wants to start?
Can I actually start?
Yeah, I will.
I wanted to kind of preface this a little because this is something that I think about a lot, and Hesse and I have had this conversation as we've been planning these think tanks. We've encountered a lot of some difficulty in really in getting people involved who don't use social as part of their careers, not just for networking, but it is part of the work that we do. We're either managing social presence for brands. We're doing ad campaigns. We're doing content development, which links very closely to social activity. And so to really put it in a place where we approach them as pure communication channels, that's really hard for me to think about sometimes. And I've tried really hard to be able to, take the hat off and think about it just as somebody who wants to talk with other people without trying to connect with potential clients or other business opportunities.
Right. And so, like, this is, we talked about this before, and Brian talked about going into a rabbit hole the minute you're into Facebook, and that's what happens all the time, especially when you're in the world that we all live in. So, can you guys give me a scenario? Like, Charlene, you talked about the fear of missing out, for example.
Well, I just want to back up a little bit and talk about why I'm on social, because I've been a freelancer since 2006, so I don't have like a water cooler at the office, so social is my water cooler now. So if I want to talk about anything or see what's going on in the world, I have to be on Facebook, I have to be on Twitter, I have to be on any of these sort of networks, and just talking about what's going on. And also, I've met a lot of friends just from social people, like on Facebook. We'll be talking about whatever's on the water cooler, and if somebody has opinions that I like or that we seem to have the same thoughts, then I'll friend them, and they'll become a new friend. And I've made I move around a lot around the country, and I've made a lot of friends in new cities that way. And then when I move to whatever city, then boom, I've got friends there already. So it's kind of cool. So anyway, what was your original question?
No, so we talked about the fear of missing out, because do people, so maybe this will help frame the answers, but do people turn on their notifications on their phone, on their Facebook? The minute you get pinged, can you actually go and figure out like who's trying to contact you, who's posted on your who's posted on your timeline, who's responded in a comment? Like, do people get sucked into that stuff?
I used to when I had Facebook Messenger, and I got sick of it pinging all the time, so I had to turn it off and actually deleted it from my phone. Okay. Well, that, and also I didn't like that Facebook wanted me to install a separate application, so I don't do what people tell me. So I just, that was my finger to Facebook. But anyway, I'm totally addicted though. Now I even run it off my browser, and I always have to check and refresh it, which just probably wastes more time for me looking than rather just responding to the ping. But there you go.
Okay. Yeah, Doug, you were saying something.
Yes, I can talk for my wife. She's definitively hyper connected, and she receives notification every minute, I'll say, and at night, at midnight. So at the beginning, it was a little bit concerning. We had many discussions around that, and now it's a little better because I understand that it's for work. She's doing that for work. And
midnight?
Sorry?
At midnight?
With you sometimes?
You better check all that.
She wakes up at 6:30. At 6:30, yes. She starts checking her iPhone, and she has her iPhone almost every time, every day. It's her, I'll say, a little friend, and she goes everywhere with it. The only place she doesn't go with the iPhone is the shower, I guess. So,
I was going to say, I'm sure we're all bathroom Facebook accessors, right?
Yeah.
No? Just me? Okay.
See, I have all notifications off because I hate when people add you to the group and then you get all those notifications.
Yeah, that's rude.
Yeah.
No, honestly. So I put all off. Like, even my phone, it's always on silent. Okay. I just look in it when I want to look in it.
Yeah.
Wow, you have willpower that I can only dream of, Yuri. I'm so impressed.
No, but
I do the same thing. I just can't. To me, it's a constant battle against that, and I don't allow any notifications on my phone. I'll turn it off, like Yuri was saying, because if I need to, like, say I need to write, for example, if I'm writing a book or something, I can't have that on at all. But sometimes I just get sucked in, and then I'm in it for like 20 minutes before I realize what's going on, and then like, oh no, and I turn it off. I'll turn all of it off again.
It was a time suck.
Yeah. Like, I will have a fun for 20 minutes or half an hour, but then I go off. And Hayes, you probably know, because sometimes I just disappear. I chat with you and then I just disappear.
Oh, I know. Like I think somebody mugged you or something, or.
But that's how. No, I can't. It's
Well,
annoying.
yeah, and
Does
I think
anyone
too,
else
like
do
you
that?
don't.
Like, go ahead.
Oh, Brian.
You're not going to make your biggest impact in the world if you're constantly sucked into that stuff. Because the way I look at it as a social marketer is, we do stuff in order to get people to have that reaction. Like, I personally don't want to be one of those reactors. I want to be a creator, right? I want to create stuff that people respond to. So the more I get sucked into responding to it, the less I'm able to create.
I've started setting timers for myself. Like, I get 15 minutes to screw around on Facebook, and then I have to get off, because otherwise I will just be on there for hours, and it's
Exactly.
not good.
So
And
there,
it's
so
part
you.
of the way that the networks are designed. There's been some research done on we become so attached to the feedback loop of the like and the comment and
Yep.
Oh, it's
the
the
notification that
dopamine.
comes through that it's
Yep.
firing the dopamine receptors. So it is addictive. It's addictive
Drug.
behavior because it's self-sustaining.
It's
Right.
like the game.
Well, so I'm saying, like, use that as a marketer, but then don't be a victim of it.
Well, that's exactly it.
But it's like a game.
Hard,
The games
easier
are
said than done.
the same way.
Mm.
Yeah, it
The
is.
video games are designed the same way, so it's designed Facebook.
Yeah.
How many times do you say when you see somebody non-stop on Facebook, you say, is that person non-stop on Facebook? Do they have anything else to do?
I know.
You-
But-
you-
But it's not only that. Like they also talk about the fact that there's this competitiveness when people put up status updates, and the grass is always greener. Somebody's having a great day. They got a new client, whatever, and then there's this. I don't know if it's a subconscious need to kind of trump them or one up them on their status. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case with us, but. There are people that go on there and they check people's status, they check who's actually talking, they determine whether or not I should go on so that people can see that I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, see, I know people who will go and compete, who will comment on a status quicker than others. I mean, it's
Who would do that?
oh yeah, you know the person, but you know what I mean. On a certain status, she needs to be the first one to comment.
Yeah.
It goes so far. So.
And I think that's kind of the function of when you have these communities and it's almost like, who's my best friend, and is there an expectation of me to do something when somebody else puts up something on their status, right? There's always this unwritten expectation about how these networks are supposed to kind of help promote each other, and I think that's, and I don't know if you guys feel that way sometimes. So, Lisa, can I hear from you, because I want to understand. I know you said everything was kosher between you and Jason, which is cool, but because Jason's more active than you are, right? Is there ever a time where you feel like you're missing out, or no, ever?
We talk a lot about the notifications, and his phone is constantly making noise and doing lots of things. And so that, I feel like he sometimes misses out on things that I'm doing or things that we're doing with our family, because he's so glued to his phone and what's happening in the social media realm that he's missing, like we have a 4-year-old niece and a 3-year-old, I guess she's 5, a 5-year-old niece and a 3-year-old nephew. And I feel like sometimes he misses the opportunity just to be with them because he's so caught up in what he's going to miss.
Right.
I've used social media as my opportunity to stay in touch with people that are far away, and I feel like some of my social media relationships are stronger than they would be if I lived close to them. And because of former students or former neighbors, people that we went to church with when we lived in another state, even my family that's far away, I'm not sure that if I lived in their neighborhood, I would know as much about them as I get from their social media feeds.
Right.
But I don't feel like I miss out on on the things he's doing because I feel like they're his interest or his work, and it's just I have my work and my interest as well, so
Right.
we complement each other. So I don't the fear of missing out. I feel like I'm more fearful of missing out on being present in what's happening for real in front of us.
I want to read this thing that I found as well. It says 25% of cell phone owners in a marriage or partnership have felt that their spouse or partner was distracted by their cell phone when they were together. And there's this other thing that says that, oh God, where is this? That when you stop having off-screen interaction, you lose empathy. So you lose the ability to have genuine reactions to real problems and real things. And one thing that somebody said to me was that when you kind of use your online relationships during the day to actually vent and talk about everything that you want to talk about, the minute your spouse comes home or you interact with them at the end of the day, there's nothing to talk about.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit more, Charlene? Is that true?
I guess I was just thinking about, a couple of relationships I've had where, I end up working things out with friends, or talking things over with friends about the relationship as opposed to talking to the person. But I have to say that occurred before social media too. If you spend too much time talking with your friends instead of talking with the person you need to be talking about, you're still going to have the same problems. So that's not unique to social media.
Okay.
However, something not similar to, something is happening I wanted to mention. What is it? So catching up with friends has become different because of social media, because everyone's always reporting everything they're doing right now anyway. And like occasionally I've chatted someone up and I said, well, what are you doing, blah, 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 and they'd say, just read my feed. Just read my Facebook feed. I talked about it there. And it's like, no, I want to hear it from
That's
you.
kind of rude.
Yeah,
Let's
I
see.
wasn't thrilled with that. And or I'm like, well, just give me the nutshell then. But they feel like they've already discussed it when they've discussed it on social. You know what I mean? They feel like they've already discussed it on social media.
End
And
of friendship.
Yeah.
So
Let's
as expected, those people I've scaled back. But it's I sort of feel that way too, though. It's I've never told anyone to read my feed, but that to me that's sort of the same thing as Google it. You know what I mean? Like
It's rude.
Been there, done that.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
So.
Charlene, do you think that that's more symptomatic of their relationships versus like the technology? Because I would think like there's something else going on there, and I think when we have these discussions, either here in this context or articles that any of us are reading, it's really easy to point the blame at the technology, but it's surfacing something else. So I think
it's surfacing our short attention spans, because think about it. If you've got several friends and you've got a problem, you might discuss it with 3 different friends or something that's going on with you, but if you can just post it once and then just get reactions of it, it makes you lazy, and then you think, well, I just don't want to talk about it anymore. And that's sort of, I think, this person who said this is not a bad person, it's not a selfish person. I just think that, I don't know, maybe she just didn't feel like repeating it again. And she thought, if you can post once, answer many, as opposed to have many conversations about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that does. And I'm thinking actually to a time and Lisa and I have done this, when we're on road trips, immediately I take to Facebook and we start the ongoing thread of like the perfect road trip playlist.
You start
And
the
just
thread.
I started. Immediately I started. And then it becomes kind of the game that as we go, like we're adding songs along just based on what people have been saying. And that's always super fun to do. And now that I can build it almost real time on Spotify and then share the playlist out as soon as I hit the end of the thread, like that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
As far as relationships go, we now live in the town that I grew up in. So there's a lot of people from my high school that are still in town, and I'm Facebook friends with them, and they will post details about their husband, their children, who has the flu, who's going to school, who, all kinds of stuff. And then when you see them out at the store, they won't even say hi to you. And to me, that is a bizarre relationship, to know that you can post details about your life and I can comment about them and you can comment about mine, but when you see me face to face, you don't say anything or you walk past, and it's just a very
it's a
strange
false
dynamic
intimacy.
for me.
Yeah,
It
right.
is.
Yeah.
And it may have to do, you know, I'm a teacher, so I am all about face-to-face and teaching kids how to have those interactions and what that means. And really, we actually, I'm sorry to say this, we warn against technology because the age I work with, there's a lot of self-esteem issues, there's a lot of comparing themselves to each other and really trying to figure out who they are. I work with middle school age, and they, a lot of times when they are having struggles, we tell them to stay off of social media because that's where they perpetuate it, or they look and they see somebody else's life is so great and that makes them feel like theirs is even worse, or they are, you know, it affects them, it affects them more emotionally than I think it does as adults. But it's very interesting dynamic to me to be discussing this with people that work on social media.
Yes. But you're right about it, because there was an article that I read about, you know, social media being kind of the crux for narcissism. And for people posting things on their status, the validation that they get, the number of people that comment on that post is validation of how great they are. And that's why I talked about the fact that people almost compete for status updates and all that stuff. There was this one girl that talked about using FaceTime. She said there's a way to do it, so even though you're talking to somebody, you can actually switch it out so that you're only talking to yourself, like you're actually looking at yourself in the mirror. On FaceTime, it's the same thing on Google Hangout, right? Yeah, if I just, the fact that I can't do it now, but if I'm talking to 10 people, I can just click on my photo and just pretend that I'm looking at everybody else, even though I'm really only looking at myself. I don't do that. I'm just saying everybody else does.
So, Casey, to your point, when we were doing ethnographies on social media, that came out, people are competing because they're looking into the network, what is trending into network, and then they're creating the status update so that they can influence others. And that's what they're doing. And it's funny to see.
Now, Yuri, I wanted some clarification on that, because I mean, I think like your average user is likely not doing that. I mean, I wonder about like what that sample size is.
No, when we did ethnographies on it, we request from the recruiter to recruit people who are not in any capacity connected to the social media. They're not social media professionals. They're not coming from the marketing background. They were pure users of social media, everyday consumers. So what they do, they spend 2 hours a day, probably during the day, mostly during the day, looking what is trending in their network. And then when they come home, they will arrange all the pictures, they will arrange all the status updates, and they will start posting. Which is just really interesting behavior.
It's like a lot of work.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Very empty souls.
Yeah. Can I talk about something related to what Lisa was saying about people posting about their kids and families and everything? Yes. Have you guys also experienced the death of the Christmas card? Yeah, because now everybody's posting everything all day long, all year long about their kids and their families and what's going on. So there's never like any wrap up. And the Christmas letter, I guess I should say what I used to say. Nowadays, I rarely even get Christmas cards from people, and I miss it. I mean, it's nice that I know what they're doing all the time, but in a way, I don't know. I sort of like to catch up.
I just did my first ones this year and I sent them late, so I did Happy New Year cards. But I did that because you've seen that cartoon where it was like, it used to be like, get an email, wow, and get a letter, and it's junk mail.
Yeah.
Now it's like, get a letter, wow, you know. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's an advantage now to make contact with people through the mail.
Yeah.
No, I know. Well, it's actually making it harder in Canada because they've increased the stamp cost to almost $1. So you almost have to do it through email. But even then, I think people just justify, not sending it at all because everybody ends up throwing it away the minute they get it in the door. It's kind of sad in a way. But I want to. So the one area that I want to get to, and because most of you are actually attached to a significant other, but Charlene isn't. So, but I want to really bring in the whole thing about technology and dating and the dynamics, because we all dated at some point in time. I mean, we had to in order to actually get to where we are now. But technology's changed that dynamic, and I want Charlene to kind of weigh in on that, because I want to understand, is it easier? Is it harder to date today with technology?
I could fill a whole session with how online dating works, and you can. My friends too. I post a lot of stuff about OkCupid clowns. That's the main site that I use, and every single one of my married or you know, sitting with other friends, they're like, "We're so glad we're married, and we don't have to deal with online dating because it's just."
Darling, try Tinder. It's better.
What?
Try Tinder. It's better.
Tinder?
No, it is not. A bunch of people. There's, it's all. They all sort of suffer with the same short attention span. I think a lot of people might message you, and it never goes anywhere. Or, you know, I'm of a certain age. I'm 46. A lot of the guys in my age group are married and off the market. So we're pretty much left with 60-year-old guys who are way too old to keep up with me, or 20-year-olds who are too inexperienced to keep up with me, and they don't have enough hair on their chest, but that's my thing. But anyway, yeah.
J-Date. It's even better.
What?
J-Date.
I'm not Jewish.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well, it matters to Jewish people. I have many friends who are Jewish, and they like to date other Jewish people. That's not to say I couldn't, but it's not my pool. I mean, I've been on online dating on OkCupid since, when did it start? Like 2006. And it's been interesting to watch the demographic on there change. It started, it was sort of like geeks and nerds, you know, like me, and now it's sort of like everybody. And I don't know, I sort of liked it when it was more segmented. Like back in the day, there was Match.com, which was mostly guys with pictures of their cars. Plenty of Fish, which was, you know, naked pictures of guys and their junk. And yeah, so a new one that's come up though on dating is it's called Hinge, and it's attached to Facebook. So you sign up with you sign up with Hinge, and it hooks you up to people. This part I don't like. It hooks you up to people that are also single on Facebook, and you get to know their friend networks. But the problem is, it doesn't hook me up to my married friends who also probably have single friends that I could be talking to. So that's not a great business model on their end. But there's so many things I could. Go ahead.
And hooks you up to the friends that you don't know that they're married and they're looking for some action.
Well, that's on Tinder.
And that's
the Tinder angle. And it's interesting, though, over time, too, OkCupid has started, this is a whole other conversation, but it used to just be, like, I'm single, but now they've opened it up to monogamish and, like, open relationships. So that's a whole other range of dating that OkCupid didn't used to cover. And I think there might be the only one that goes that route, but that's another
I think we have one in Canada called Ashley Madison, where you
they have that here too. It's for affairs.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's that's like on the DL. You know, that's nobody needs to know about it. There are actually designations now on OkCupid that I am in an open relationship, you know, and if it's considered open, then people are supposedly supposed to know, you know, but it's it's a whole other conversation. But
yeah, the OkCupid like gender designation thing became there was a
that's new. Yeah.
And that is relatively new, and there was I heard an NPR report actually talking about that, where they've created not created, but they're responding to the way that younger people in particular identify, and it's not often with gender. It's affinity categories. One of the new ones that that floated was sapiosexual. So you're attracted to very intelligent people.
To what?
Okay, I've had that on my profile since 2007, and I don't like it being made into something bad. It's like there's some people that just want good-looking people. There's some people that just want funny people. There's some people, sapiosexual, the definition I believe is you are attracted to intelligence. Mm-hmm. Like I could meet someone and think, oh, they're cute, but I don't get really attracted to them until they start talking and they're smart, and then I can become more attracted to them. Some people, they don't care. about that. That's just sort of a to me, I don't think it's a designation though. I just think it's like some guys like blondes. I like smart guys. You know what I mean? I think it's more of a preference rather than a designation.
Yeah, and I maybe the designation is coming on a bit too strong on that. I think it's more that OkCupid is responding to that's what people are seeking in different, you know, like that's actually that's a category, like a searchable category.
But you know what? There are plenty of men who write me and say, I'm looking for an intelligent women. Intelligant. Do you know what I mean? No guy's going to say, I'm looking for a dumb, busty, big-assed woman. Do you know what I mean? They're always going to... It's one of those, I don't know. I just think it's sort of a worthless designation, personally. But and you can tell if someone's smart.
What did you say, Yuri?
I said, what's her profile name? So I will write her. I'm looking for a dumb ass right now.
Oh, gosh.
Can I throw an angle on this? It's not like, it's not, I don't know how it applies to the modern stuff, but the way, when I met my wife, you know, most of my life I was socially anxious and socially phobic, so, and a nerd, and luckily she was attracted to nerds, but the way that we really got to know each other was through email. That's where I really got to, like, let out some of my personality initially. So I do think that, you know, hypothetically, for certain introverts and the socially phobic or whatever, that some of this stuff, this online dating might actually be better than it not existing.
I agree. I think a lot of the men that I run into on OkCupid are more introverted, and because it is sort of a safer space to sort of let your personality out. You don't have to win someone over with a giant, you know, here's my personality, which unfortunately I do sometimes, but you know what I mean? It's nice when you can talk about yourself. You can put out things that you're interested in, and people can sort of respond to those. I mean, of course, being a woman, there are all guys that just look at your picture and just send you a hey sexy, and it's like, I don't care about that, right? But someone who takes time to thoughtfully respond to things that I have on my profile, well, then we can start having a conversation. And I agree with you, Brian. It's like the guys that I have dated successfully on like OkCupid and other sites have been ones that I've had conversations with before I end up meeting.
But do you think that it's okay to write the whole Chinese constitution in your profile?
No, definitely not. There are guys who write, like you said, entire encyclopedias of every movie that they've ever liked, of every song that they ever liked, and nobody's going to read that shit. And I end up being the editrix and emailing them and saying, you might want to edit this down a little bit because nobody's going to read it. Thank you. And then they think that I'm hitting on them, and then they, you know, write me for weeks on end. But yeah, and there are some people who, I actually met a woman in town, I wish I could remember her handle, but she was sort of like an e-dating coach, and she would actually counsel people on how to, you know, shorten their profiles. And she and I had a conversation, and she looked at mine. I don't think mine is really long, but she's like, guys don't have that attention span. She'd have like 3 paragraphs max. And I'm like, but I don't want dumb guys who are only going to read 3 paragraphs. You know what I mean? I want guys who have a little more substance. And so I did cut it down a little bit. But if you guys want to look at my profile, I'm Bonky Ponk on OkCupid. It's kind of, my profile is kind of fun. BONKEYPONK.
Okay.
So anyway, I could talk about this all day. I have so many stories.
Go ahead, Yuri. What?
I said, are you on Craigslist as well?
Oh God, no. That is no.
That's different.
For serial killers.
Okay, serial killers and dick pics. Craigslist is your place.
Okay, so I wanna get back to the relationship thing because I haven't actually heard any negative stuff that's coming out of the social media thing. I mean, especially for a lot of us that are active, like Brian, for example. Your wife, she doesn't work within the digital space, right?
Yeah, she does Facebook ads, but she doesn't really do a whole lot of Facebook activity. You know, I mean, there are a lot of people I would consider to be like kind of more normal. Like they have, like kind of Lisa's talking about, they have a real life with real people that are physically there near them, and you know, a lot of those people don't really totally get the degree to which we use it, or the facility with which, you know. And so whether they're Gen X or Gen Jones or Boomers, I think there's a lot more who are older who are like that.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it's not. So occasionally I'll share something with her, but I'll have to go like, did you get that thing I put on your Facebook profile? I have to go ask her, you know. So
Okay, but
yeah.
in terms of like it hasn't hampered your relationship. Like there's no addiction to social media that you have. Like you don't have that issue.
No, but I mean, we're both addicted to working, so it doesn't really matter. It all gets subsumed within the fact that we're both like doing a bunch of stuff all the time. We're sort of like we're very similar people we go off do our crazy obsessive amount of work and accomplishment, and then come back and you know share war stories and hang out and eat or whatever, you know. So
It's different
that's
because you guys are online. You guys are kind of in the same space, so it's not like it's almost like your lives are kind of intermingled all day.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and we both work from home, so and that takes a lot of. Not everybody can do that.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you're still here. Oh, you're still here. Oh, you're still here.
That's right.
You're still here. Yeah.
Now,
Okay, nice.
so Doug, can I ask you, because you and Karima are two totally different people, right? And you have a lot of patience and a lot of trust. Your wife is online all the time, and yes, it's part of her job, but also you have a very different, an environment that you work in, and you said that she uses her phone a lot, and I'm not saying anything because I'm exactly the same as she is, and my husband works out of the house, and I don't see him 8 hours a day, so.
Actually, I totally agree. We are very different in the sense that we're I'll say he has an iPhone, a BlackBerry, he likes Apple, I like Microsoft, and that kind of things. And in social media, what I've seen when she started, at the beginning I was not understanding, and yes, we had a lot of discussion around that, who are you talking to, because she met, she had a lot of friends online, and Yuri is one of them, and I met Yuri through Karima, and I met you through Karima too, Lissy. And so we had to build that trust. And but at the beginning, I can tell you definitively, it's not that I was not trusting her. It's just that I was asking, who are these people? What are you talking about? And so on and so on, until I understand that okay, we've been married for 12 years now. I don't need to be and look at everything she's doing. She knows what she's talking about, and now I have a better understanding that this is for work. But definitely, if we didn't have a strong relationship, social media could have broke it, and because it can make a relationship very superficial.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen many. Sometimes we go out to restaurants and we see young people. They're having dinner or lunch. Everyone is on their iPhone or BlackBerry or anything. We're not talking to each other. We're just communicating with our friends. And Karima and I were looking at that. We said, no, we don't want to become like that. So with time, we've just learned that to understand each of us, what we're doing and what we're bringing to the table. This is part of her work, and I respect that.
Yeah. No, and that's good. I think that's important because the trust becomes important, especially like the more people that you end up talking to, because you never know. And like I've heard of incidences where, especially when you start to reconnect with people, let's say from high school, and then the DM becomes more of a, let's say, a communication vehicle where you start talking more often, and then before you know it, something happens with those.
Karima, since now that she's talking so much, as many of her old friends from school are contacting her, but she tells me almost everything, but I'm telling her I don't need to know. It's fine.
Please, yeah, exactly. Lisa, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of friends and he does his work, but I think, I definitely think that if your relationship's not strong, it could really take a toll on it. It took some getting used to. I'll be honest, for a while I didn't think it was a real job, just because it's so different from what I do. It took a while to figure out what this is and how it works for us, but I think we're there.
Mm-hmm. And to expand on that, I think there was one time that you had a very negative reaction of, somebody that would that we both knew, mutually met, and there was the flag went up. There was one time, and the flag went up, and that relationship severed at that point because the spidey sense started tingling for Lisa.
Well, that was yep, that happened.
So it's nice to know that, for the most part, it says here, there's a stat that said that a lot of committed relationships, 8% of them actually break up because of the amount of time that somebody spends online. And I think that's a factor not only of time but also of trust, because they don't know what's going on, and where actual relationships actually are severed because of that. So it seems like we have a very what do you call it? We have a very responsible panel, and not only responsible but committed panel. So that from the perspective of the amount of time that you guys spend online, there's a big trust factor that's also there. So.
Well, and my thought on that, Hesse, is that it's the same. It's almost the analogy to using that. For some companies, they're very resistant to opening to social networks, right, internally, because the fear that the gut level reaction is productivity is going to decrease.
Which probably would.
They have access, right?
Yeah.
Probably will.
My response to that is that's not a social media issue. That's an operations issue. So,
people were
isn't it a personal psychology issue?
Yeah, it's just
more
concentrated on the computer. Is all.
We got conflict on this one. We just talked about how addictive it can be in the dopamine. So it's not the culture. It's the people's personal psychological vulnerability to all that other stuff. It's should they be able to make phone calls to their neighbors and talk about stuff during work? No. So why should they be able to network socially if that's not part of their job?
And I agree with you, but I think where I'm coming down on this is that if your relationship with your significant other is strained to the point where technology is going to be the breaking point, there's something else going on. It's not the technology.
Yeah,
it's not in the same way. And that's that. Maybe I failed to make that analogy.
Well, and if you're a person who's more vulnerable to getting into an affair or something, you probably should not be on social media, right?
Yeah, and I kind of see it as if there's something in that relationship that leads you in that direction. In the company, it's if you think productivity is going to bottom out, chances are that person's going to find some other way to dick around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's not just social. They're going to find another way to do it.
That's
so
right.
I guess that's the line I'm trying to connect.
They were probably wandering the halls talking to their coworkers anyway before social media and not working.
That's
you
right.
Know what I mean? So.
And I'm not sure that it's just social media as far as the temptation. It could be social media as far as the escape or the opportunity to withdraw from the real life problem that they're facing or the unhappiness and escape into something better or the lives of other people.
Well, yeah, and in terms of online dating, I think that's absolutely the case. Why would you have... Okay, so I've heard that men in New York are especially vulnerable to this, not just because of social media, but because of the constant access to women. Why would you work out a problem with a woman in one relationship when you can just dump her and get somebody new? And it's the same sort of thing. If you have a problem in a relationship, you can just troll through online dating and be like, they're cute, possibility. Even if you don't do anything about it, you're distracted by other potentials and thinking that you can always escape at any time. And that's made so much more easy now than in the past where you actually had to go out and pick someone up. Do you know what I mean? Or really work hard to have an affair. Where now it's just, you can go shopping for somebody new.
That's exactly it.
But don't you think if you're having an affair and you're so social that affair will be exposed in few seconds?
If you're not very active on social media, how is it going to be exposed?
No, if you're very active, I'm saying.
There are ways to hide it.
Depends on how many spy novels you read.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that's interesting. Like I said, there was this guy that I was starting to get to know, and I normally would never friend someone on Facebook that I was interested in dating or was dating, just because I just think it's fraught with too much difficulty. And I sort of bent my rule for this one particular guy. We're sort of getting to know each other, and I noticed that he was completely oversharing with me when we were on texting and other things, but he rarely posted anything on Facebook. And then I started to wonder, and this is a long distance guy, and then he would talk about wanting to meet and never follow through on it, things like that, and I started thinking, I bet he's still married or something, or he's got a girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? And then you start wondering, like, if he like put me on a certain list and then I couldn't see what he was posting. You know what I mean? It just started smelling fishy, sort of thing. And then, of course, then you end up looking like, oh my God, he added like 9 different women to his friends list. And then you know what I mean? You just start imagining these things. It's just, I don't know. Then you get too much insight into their life. Huh?
That's why I need to have 2 profiles. So you have one for research and one that you're really on it.
That's right. And that's what we'd say.
There are people with dual profiles on OkCupid, I found out. Like, one is a good profile and one is their naughty profile, one for casual sex and one for dating. It's fascinating, you guys.
Should write a blog post.
I should write a book about this, is what I should do.
This is a book in the making.
I've got 8 years of experience on this now, and I've seen everything.
Oh my God!
That's the guy playing guitar in the shower, which, if you're my Facebook friend,
yes, I saw that, and it's great.
Can I post that so people can see it?
I want to see it.
Okay, Yuri, you had.
No, go on OkCupid and you will see one profile, and then people are so stupid that they put the same picture, and they go on Match.com and they have completely. They're on OkCupid. They're all about sex and one-night stand. On Match.com, they're all about long-term relationships.
No, that's not true.
But their website and their videos, and they're all about marriage, and you can. It's quite fun to watch them.
You know what I found out though, and I didn't think about this till recently. You guys know about reverse image search, right? I found out that I need to put unique pictures on my dating sites, because if people do reverse image search, since I am active on social media, they can find me. And one creepy guy wrote me, and he's just like, well, you're Charlene Yashesky, and you live at blah, 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 blah. And I'm just, it was creepy. Yeah, so I fixed that really quick. But you know what else is really fun, though, is I can always smell it when a guy puts up a fake picture, and then I'll do reverse image search, and I'll be like, and I think, did I tell this story before? It just sounds familiar.
No.
Yeah, he had this picture of himself, and he said he lived, oh God, it's someplace in Minnesota or something, but it was a picture of New York, because I live in New York, and I recognized New York, and I go, oh, when did you go to New York? Because you were in this area, and I used to live there. He's like, that's not New York. And I'm like, oh, really? And then I started smelling. It's like, this is totally fake. And he was saying it was in some small town in Montana. And so I looked up the small town. I'm like, this town doesn't even have 12 streets, let alone 45. So there's no way you're in New York. Would you like to give up the truth now? And he kept saying, well, you just want to make someone a liar. You just don't trust men. And so I'm like, are you sure you want to go there? And so I did a reverse image search on the guy. It was some gay guy who was listed on a gay site. And so it was obviously not him, because he said he was looking for women. And it was this guy who like traveled to 100 countries and whatever. And then I sent him all the links, and I'm like, see, it's not you. And of course he deleted his profile immediately. So that's really fun, sleuthing that out. But anyway.
Oh my God. Okay. On that note, we are over time. So I wanted to. So I think this has been great. Thank you very much for attending this think tank. So we are going to be back in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be tackling, I think, Gen X spending habits. So if you guys you want to get on that, Charlene? Anyway,
put me on permanent.
There you go. Okay, so we're going to stop the broadcast. You guys want to say bye to the audience before I hit stop? Okay, take care, guys.
Bye.
See you in a couple of weeks. Okay, bye.
Bye.